Ever had a conversation with someone who seems to really get you? They're a great listener, they're insightful, and you walk away feeling like you've just had one of the most real chats of your life. But then later on you realize something a little weird. You talked about your dreams, your fears, your deepest thoughts, and they shared almost nothing about themselves in return. You know a lot about them, but you don't really feel like you know what's going on inside them. If that sounds familiar, chances are you've just met an INFJ. The world can feel like a loud, overwhelming place for them, so they built up these incredible, intricate inner worlds. And what's in there? Well, that's the stuff they almost never, ever reveal. Today we're pulling back the curtain. These are the 7 things your INFJ friend will probably never tell you. 1. They're secret emotional detectives living in a world of lies. Picture this. You walk into a room and while everyone else sees faces, an INFJ sees entire life stories. They're not just making small talk, they're conducting full psychological autopsies on everyone around them, and it's happening whether they want it to or not. That cashier who seems grumpy? The INFJ behind you in line already knows she's dealing with a messy divorce and her boss is giving her hell about her schedule. Your coworker who's totally fine? The INFJ 3 desks over can practically see the anxiety radiating off him like heat waves from summer asphalt. But here's where it gets really twisted. INFJs are surrounded by what feels like a world of professional actors. Everyone's wearing masks, putting on shows, pretending to be someone they're not, and the INFJ can see right through every single performance. It's like having X-ray vision in a world where everyone thinks they're invisible. The worst part? They can't turn it off. Ever. They're walking around with a supernatural ability to see through people's facades, but they're trapped in polite society where calling out the truth would make them social pariahs. So they smile, nod, and participate in conversations they know are built on lies, all while their souls are slowly dying from the fakeness of it all. Imagine knowing that your friend's perfect relationship is actually falling apart, that your family member's great news is covering up desperation, that your boss's team spirit speech is pure manipulation, and having to pretend you don't see any of it. That's an INFJ's daily reality, and it's eating them alive from the inside. 2. They're drowning in an ocean of everyone else's pain. Here's something that'll shake you to your core. INFJs don't just empathize with your pain, they literally absorb it into their bodies like emotional vampires in reverse. But instead of stealing energy, they're involuntarily collecting every ounce of suffering from everyone around them. When you tell an INFJ about your heartbreak, they're not just listening, their chest is physically aching with your pain. When you mention your anxiety about the future, guess what? Now they're lying awake at 3 a.m. worrying about your problems while you're probably sleeping peacefully. Your stress becomes their stress, your fear becomes their fear, your sadness becomes a weight they'll carry for weeks. But it gets worse. They don't just absorb pain from people they know. They feel devastated by news stories about strangers, fictional characters suffering haunts them for days, and they can't walk past a homeless person without their entire day being ruined by imagining that person's life story. Here's the kicker. Most people dump their emotional baggage on INFJs precisely because they're so good at handling it. But what nobody realizes is that INFJs aren't handling it, they're collecting it. Every sob story, every crisis, every moment of despair gets stored in their emotional warehouse, and that warehouse is overflowing. They become walking museums of human suffering, curators of pain they never asked to collect. And the most heartbreaking part? They'll never tell you to stop sharing because they can't bear the thought of you suffering alone, even if it means they have to suffer instead. 3. They're refugees in their own minds, escaping to worlds you'll never see. While you're living in reality, INFJs are citizens of invisible kingdoms that exist only in their heads. These aren't just daydreams, they're entire alternate universes with their own rules, relationships, and possibilities that feel more real than the physical world around them. In these mental sanctuaries, INFJs can finally breathe. They can have the deep conversations that never happen in real life, form the perfect relationships that don't exist in reality, and be the versions of themselves that the real world seems to reject. It's where their idealism can run wild without being crushed by harsh truths. But here's what's tragic. These inner worlds often become more appealing than real life. Why engage in shallow small talk when you can have profound philosophical discussions with the characters in your head? Why deal with disappointing relationships when you can experience perfect connection in your imagination? The problem is, this creates a dangerous addiction. INFJs start preferring their fantasy worlds to reality, and who can blame them? In their minds, everyone understands them, every conversation has meaning, and every relationship is exactly what they've always dreamed of. But living primarily in your head while your body exists in the real world creates a split that's almost schizophrenic. INFJs often feel like they're watching their real lives from the outside, like actors playing roles in a movie they never auditioned for, while their true selves are living completely different lives in parallel dimensions inside their skulls. 4. They're master illusionists performing authenticity while hiding their truth. Here's a mind bender. The most authentic people you know might actually be the most skilled actors you've ever encountered. INFJs have spent their entire lives perfecting the art of being exactly what each situation requires while keeping their real selves locked away in maximum security. They're like emotional chameleons with PhDs in human psychology. With their family, they become the version their family needs. With friends, they transform into whatever that friendship demands. At work, they slip into their professional persona like putting on a costume. And they're so good at this that most people never realize they're seeing a performance. But here's where it gets terrifying. After years of being different people in different situations, many INFJs lose track of who they actually are underneath all the masks. They become so skilled at reading what others want and becoming that thing that they forget what they want, what they need, what they actually think and feel. When they're alone, they sometimes stare in the mirror and see a stranger. They've become masters of authenticity performance while their genuine selves have withered away from neglect. It's like being a method actor who's been playing a role so long they've forgotten their real identity. The most heartbreaking part? People often praise INFJs for being so authentic and so genuine, not realizing they're complimenting an elaborate illusion. The real INFJ is buried so deep that sometimes even they can't find their way back to who they used to be before they learned to be everything for everyone. 5. They're carrying a cross made of everyone else's happiness. INFJs live with a burden that would break most people's spirits. They genuinely believe that everyone else's happiness is their personal responsibility. Not just their family or close friends, everyone. Every person whose life they touch becomes their obligation, their mission, their reason for existing. When someone they care about is unhappy, INFJs don't just feel bad about it, they feel like personal failures. They'll replay conversations obsessively, wondering what they could have said differently. They'll lose sleep thinking of solutions to problems that aren't theirs to solve. They'll sacrifice their own needs, wants, and dreams if it means making someone else's life even slightly better. But here's what's absolutely crushing. This responsibility extends to people they barely know, characters in movies, strangers on the news, and pretty much every form of suffering they encounter. They feel guilty for enjoying their lunch while people are starving somewhere. They can't celebrate their successes while others are struggling. They can't rest while the world is broken. The weight of this imaginary responsibility is suffocating. INFJs walk around feeling like they're failing everyone all the time because they can't fix every problem and heal every wound they encounter. They're trying to be saviors in a world full of suffering that no single person could ever address. And the cruelest irony? The people whose happiness they're sacrificing themselves for often have no idea how much the INFJ is suffering in their attempt to help. They see the INFJ as strong, capable, always having it together, never realizing that their helper is drowning in the effort to keep everyone else afloat. 6. They're terrified you'll run away if you see who they really are. The biggest paradox of INFJ existence is this. They desperately crave someone who will truly know them while simultaneously being absolutely terrified of anyone getting that close. It's like being starving for food while being deathly afraid of eating. After years of being told they're too intense, too sensitive, or too deep, most INFJs have concluded that their authentic selves are fundamentally unlovable. So they show you carefully curated versions, just enough depth to feel meaningful, but not so much that you'll run screaming. Here's what keeps them awake at night. What if the person I really am is too weird? Too much? Too broken? What if my real thoughts and feelings are so strange that nobody could ever accept them? What if the version of me that I hide is the reason I feel so alone? So they perform controlled vulnerability. They share struggles that make them seem relatable but not crazy. They reveal dreams that sound inspiring but not unrealistic. They show emotions that prove they're human but not unstable. It's intimacy with training wheels, connection with safety nets. The tragedy is that this controlled authenticity never satisfies their deep need to be truly known. They remain fundamentally alone, surrounded by people who love the versions of them they've created but have never met the person hiding behind the performance. And the few times they've tried to remove the masks completely, often people did run away. Or worse, they stayed but started treating the INFJ like a fragile creature who needed fixing. So INFJs learned that full authenticity is a luxury they can't afford if they want to maintain relationships. 7. They can see your soul's secrets but act like they're blind. The final secret is perhaps the most unsettling. INFJs can read you like a book written in their native language, but they pretend to be illiterate to keep you comfortable. They see your insecurities, your fears, your motivations, your patterns, and your potential, often within minutes of meeting you, but they act like they see nothing at all. They notice the micro expressions you don't know you're making. They hear the emotion underneath your words that you're trying to hide. They see the way you change your behavior around different people, the stories you tell yourself, the lies you believe about who you are. It's like having a supernatural power that you can never use because it would terrify everyone around you. Imagine if you could read minds but had to pretend you couldn't to avoid being burned at the stake. That's what social interaction feels like for many INFJs. The hardest part is when people they love are lying to them or hiding something important. The INFJ can usually tell, but they're trapped in a horrible position. Confront the person and reveal their uncanny ability to see through deception, which might damage the relationship, or pretend they don't know and watch someone they care about struggle with secrets that are obvious to them. Most INFJs choose silence. They wait patiently for people to feel safe enough to share the truth, even when that truth is written all over their face. They pretend to be surprised by revelations they saw coming months ago. They act like they need explanations for behavior they understood immediately. The hidden cost of being a human lie detector. Living with these abilities and carrying these secrets comes with a price that most people never see. INFJs often struggle with depression, anxiety, and a bone-deep loneliness that comes from being surrounded by people who can't truly see or understand them. They're exhausted from constantly managing other people's emotions while neglecting their own. They're tired of pretending not to see things that are obvious to them. They're worn out from being everyone else's emotional support while having nowhere to put their own pain. Many INFJs report feeling like they're living behind glass. They can see everyone else and everyone else can see them, but there's this invisible barrier that prevents real connection. They're simultaneously the most understanding people you'll meet and the most misunderstood people in existence. The loneliness of being the only one who sees. Perhaps the cruelest aspect of being an INFJ is the isolation that comes with seeing what others can't see. They're like people with color vision trying to describe rainbows to those who only see in black and white. The gulf between their experience and everyone else's feels unbridgeable. They watch people make the same mistakes repeatedly while being unable to warn them without seeming presumptuous. They see solutions to problems that others consider unsolvable, but they can't share their insights without seeming arrogant. They understand connections and patterns that are invisible to others, but explaining them makes them sound crazy. This creates a profound loneliness that goes beyond simply being alone. It's the loneliness of being the only person in the room who speaks your language, the only one who sees the elephant everyone else is ignoring, the only one who understands the music everyone else experiences as noise. Why these secrets stay buried? You might wonder why INFJs don't just open up about these experiences. Why not share the burden? Why not let people know what they're really going through? The answer is heartbreakingly simple. Experience has taught them that honesty about their inner world rarely goes well. They've tried to explain their sensitivity and been told they're too emotional. They've shared their insights and been called judgmental. They've revealed their struggles and been labeled dramatic or attention-seeking. After enough rejections, dismissals, and misunderstandings, most INFJs learn to keep their truth locked away. It's safer to be partially known and accepted than fully known and rejected. It's better to feel lonely while connected than to feel abandoned after being authentic. The superpower hidden in the struggle. But here's what's remarkable about INFJs. Despite carrying all these secrets and struggles, they transform their pain into purpose. Their ability to absorb emotions makes them incredible healers and counselors. Their analytical nature gives them insights that help others understand themselves better. Their rich inner worlds fuel creativity that touches souls and changes lives. Their burden of feeling responsible for others drives them to create real change in the world. They become the teachers who see potential in struggling students, the friends who call when you need them most, the artists who create beauty from pain, the activists who fight for those who can't fight for themselves. Every INFJ secret, every hidden struggle, becomes raw material for their unique contribution to the world. They take their sensitivity and forge it into empathy. They transform their analysis into wisdom. They convert their idealism into hope for others who have given up. Breaking the code. How to love an INFJ. If you've recognized someone you love in these descriptions, here's how you can create safety for them to share their authentic self. First, understand that their intensity isn't a flaw to be fixed. It's a feature to be appreciated. When they share something deep with you, resist the urge to lighten the mood or offer quick solutions. Just listen and acknowledge the depth of their experience. Second, give them permission to be complex. Don't try to simplify them or put them in boxes. INFJs are walking contradictions. They can be incredibly strong and deeply vulnerable simultaneously, wise and confused, helpful and in need of help. Third, create opportunities for meaningful conversation. Skip the weather talk and ask them about their dreams, their thoughts on life's big questions, their perspectives on human nature. They'll light up when someone actually wants to explore the depths with them. Finally, be patient with their need for processing time. INFJs often need space to sort through their thoughts and emotions before they can articulate them. Don't take their silence personally. They're not shutting you out, they're figuring out how to let you in. For INFJs, your secret instructions. If you're an INFJ reading this and feeling completely seen and terrified at the same time, here's what you need to know. Your secrets don't make you broken, they make you human. Every struggle you're hiding is valid, every burden you're carrying matters, and every part of yourself that you think is too much is actually exactly enough. You don't have to carry everyone's emotions. You can empathize without absorbing. You can care without becoming responsible. You can help without sacrificing yourself. Learning to set emotional boundaries isn't selfish, it's survival. Your fantasy world isn't an escape from reality, it's a laboratory for possibility. Use it to envision the life you want, the relationships you crave, the person you're becoming. But don't forget to bring some of that magic back to the real world. Most importantly, find your people. Yes, they're rare, but they exist. Look for others who value depth over surface, meaning over entertainment, authenticity over performance. They might not be INFJs, but they'll be people who can handle your truth without flinching. The revolutionary act of being real. In a world that often rewards superficiality, choosing to be deep is revolutionary. In a society that promotes emotional numbness, feeling everything is an act of rebellion. In a culture that values speed over reflection, taking time to understand is radical. INFJs are walking revolutions, quietly challenging the world to be more authentic, more compassionate, more meaningful. Every time they choose honesty over convenience, depth over surface, or truth over comfort, they're showing others that there's another way to be human. Your secrets aren't shameful, they're sacred. They're the price you pay for seeing more, feeling more, and understanding more than most people ever will. They're the shadow side of gifts that make you irreplaceable in this world. The future of feeling everything. As our world becomes increasingly disconnected and surface level, the gifts that INFJs carry become more valuable, not less. The ability to truly see people, to feel deeply, to understand complex emotional landscapes, to create meaning from chaos. These aren't outdated skills, they're exactly what humanity needs to heal and evolve. Your sensitivity isn't a weakness in need of toughening, it's a strength that needs protection and cultivation. Your analysis isn't overthinking, it's deep thinking in a world that's forgotten how to think at all. Your idealism isn't naive, it's the vision that keeps hope alive when everything seems broken. The secrets you carry, the struggles you hide, the depths you contain, they're not burdens to bear in isolation. They're treasures waiting to be shared with people worthy of receiving them. Conclusion: the beautiful burden of seeing everything. Living as an INFJ means carrying secrets that would overwhelm most people, feeling emotions that seem too big for one human heart, and seeing truths that others miss entirely. It means being simultaneously the strongest and most fragile people in any room, the wisest and most confused, the most helpful and most in need of help. These 7 secrets, the emotional detective work, the absorbed pain, the fantasy escapes, the performance of authenticity, the weight of responsibility, the fear of being known, and the burden of seeing through everyone, aren't character flaws or mental health issues. They're the natural consequences of being wired to experience life at a depth that most people never reach. But here's what makes INFJs truly extraordinary. Despite all these hidden struggles, they continue to show up for the world. They keep caring when caring hurts, keep hoping when hope seems pointless, keep connecting when connection feels impossible. They transform their secret struggles into superpowers. Their ability to absorb pain becomes the gift of healing others. Their constant analysis becomes wisdom that guides lost souls. Their fantasy worlds become the blueprints for creating beauty and meaning in reality. If you're an INFJ, your secrets don't make you broken, they make you beautifully complex. You don't need to fix yourself. You need to find people who can appreciate the masterpiece of contradictions that you are. If you love an INFJ, understand that their depth isn't something to fear or fix, it's something to treasure. Behind their calm exterior is a universe of thoughts, feelings, and dreams that could take a lifetime to explore. The fact that they're sharing any of it with you is a privilege beyond measure. The rarest people carry the rarest burdens, but they also carry the rarest gifts. In a world desperate for authenticity, empathy, and meaning, INFJs are walking reminders that it's possible to feel everything and still find beauty in the chaos. Your secrets are safe, your struggles are valid, and your gifts are needed. The world might not always understand you, but it desperately needs what you have to offer. And maybe, just maybe, that's enough reason to keep sharing your light, even when it feels like you're glowing alone in the dark.